Paws up preview, another week of football, FIU football versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. We are back here, week 12 of FIU football. We are here with Jake Gibson, Jonathan Mayer, the first Power 5 opponent that your FIU Panthers will be taking on. And there's a couple things to take away from this. Obviously, I think all three of us aren't too excited to see this. And we could talk about, obviously, how cool it is that FIU could play against a Power 5. Their expectation to play Power 5 every year. This time, Arkansas next season, opening up the season against Indiana. But if FIU loses, their bowl game hopes are down to 0. They would be at 7 losses, trying to hopefully get a win against Western Kentucky, which has been a very disappointing team. And Western could be playing for a bowl game as well come that week. So, again, Jake Gibson, Jonathan Mayer. Jake, what's up? A big week for FIU football. They take on a Power 5 opponent, and it is not a very easy opponent despite their record.
Yeah, I mean, a 3-7 record for Arkansas might make you believe that, maybe FIU has some sort of advantage here. But here's the thing. They're the Arkansas Razorbacks of the SEC, right? Whether you're a college football fan and you love or hate the SEC, there's no denying that even the worst teams in that conference can still dominate against some of the best teams in G5, usually. And FIU is not one of the best teams in G5. They've been struggling. I believe they've lost 5 of their last 6. So including an absolute heartbreaker against Middle Tennessee, which we'll talk about in a sec. But the Arkansas Razorbacks, despite their record, they are a very well-organized team that I do believe is moving forward considering their recent firing of their OC. So despite all the drama there, they're still a damn good opponent, and they're going to overwhelm FIU. Spoiler alert, it's going to be absolutely wild if any of us pick FIU in this, Johnny. But we'll get to that in the end.
Yeah, so obviously, quickly recapping the game against Middle Tennessee, definitely a disappointing one to say the least. FIU makes 4 trips down to the red zone, only successful in 2 of those, and obviously those 2 were Chase Gabriel field goals. He missed the third one on the night, and really just a disappointing day, Johnny. Don't want to see that from your FIU team. Kiwan looked good for the most part, but really, once again, it kind of felt like the same song and dance for this FIU team where you fall early and aren't able to make a comeback.
Yeah, I think one big thing is I think FIU they're having a troubled time, trouble winning games in Murfreesboro. You know, the last time they won against Middle Tennessee on the road was back in 2011. That's over a decade. And Mario Cristobal was the head coach for the Panthers. They had T.Y. Hilton. It's a whole different ballgame. And I think Eric Henry posted on Twitter, who now does great stuff with 247 covered FIU. He said it's like the house of horrors for FIU. They never can put up a fight in Murfreesboro, and we saw it on Saturday night where Middle Tennessee did whatever they wanted to, and they were a 2-7 team and played really, really well in a game that really was not great for FIU.
Yeah, that was a great point, Johnny. I believe FIU's last win against ODU or Middle Tennessee period was 2018. That was my freshman year at FIU. But yeah, it was just a rough game from the start. I thought FIU would actually have a great chance in this game considering their struggle against the rush and the fact that they were going up against a pass-oriented offense. And they still let their quarterback, I believe Vadiato was his name, 275 yards, 4 touchdowns in the air. That is absolutely insane. And they did most of their work in the first half. They just sort of strolled along in the second half because, as you mentioned, FIU's red zone offense was absolutely abysmal. Aside from those 2 kicks by Chase Gabriel, which again, shout out Chase Gabriel. Those are some nice kicks. They turned the ball over, and I believe what was the other one? He missed a kick as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
yeah, he did.
Yeah. So offense, I don't want to be too negative here, but I got to say that out of every game this season, I think FIU's offense had their worst performance against Middle Tennessee, and their defense also had their worst performance against Middle Tennessee, which sucks because this is the absolute worst time for that to be happening to this FIU team in the midst of trying to get a bowl game.
You definitely needed to win that game, especially given obviously now you're facing Arkansas tonight, and then you have Western, which Western is hit or miss. You never know. It's kind of a wild card game. You don't know what you're going to get from them. Usually it's a very close, but we'll get into that obviously next week when we're recapping the season finale for FIU football. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's been a long road, Kevin and Johnny, a whole season of Paws Up podcast coverage. and we're getting to the tail end here, but we're getting a little emotional here.
Not I want to say emotional, but excited for the offseason. Excited to see who they bring in, and obviously signing day coming soon. But yeah, not really much else to take away from that Middle Tennessee game. Eric Rivers was injured towards the end. We aren't sure at the moment. What we know is that he will play. We obviously have some big injury news to take away from here. But not really much else to take away from this Middle Tennessee game. Just really disappointing game for the Panthers. Nick Vattiata, as he mentioned, had himself one hell of a game. FIU, one thing I will emphasize here, and I know FIU head coach Mike McIntyre definitely emphasized in his Tuesday presser, is the fact that this team still struggles to tackle. And that we're saying this entering week 12 is definitely an issue. FIU just unable to tackle. You look at that first touchdown that Middle Tennessee scored. I believe it was to Elijah Metcalf, their top wide receiver. Bobby Saleh Jr., and I'm not to call anyone out, but Bobby Saleh Jr. almost had that guy on the ground. He was just not able to get him down, and that is definitely an issue. I don't know if it's that this defense is a weak defense in terms of just strength or just unable to tackle. And we talk about physical teams. FIU was not very physical against a Middle Tennessee team. And throughout the season, they just haven't been physical. So, yeah, that's the last thing I'll mention, unless you guys want to, I guess, emphasize on that or mention anything else.
I will say the silly miscues also really hurt FIU in that game. Of course, the strip sack, the fumble, and then the free touchdown from Middle Tennessee's defense was definitely a low point in that game. And then not long after, of course, FIU pinned to their own end zone, and then of course taken down for a safety. That was rough. And funnily enough, I had said that prior to that. I think it was Middle Tennessee, the only team to give up a safety, and then FIU does it on their turf. So. Eric Henry also said that that the day they're going to demolish Floyd Stadium in the future, there should be some FIU fans there laughing as they that stadium has just been a nightmare, as you mentioned, for FIU.
1-9 record now.
1-9 record, man. It's frustrating. It is super frustrating. Through all the pain, we still find ourselves with an opportunity to make it to a bowl game, but by God, it is extremely slim.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But before we do talk about the Razorbacks, quick injury updates and I guess news updates. So John Bach, let's start with that one. Definitely a weirder story. So from what we have understood, obviously this is what Coach Mack told us at the press conference. So we don't know if there's different story. This is what we obviously know. John Bach went to a supplement store. He bought a supplement that was not banned by the NCAA, but when mixed, it looks like it caught on to some banned substances or supplements, in this case, from the NCAA. Now he is suspended for a full calendar year. He will be eligible to come towards the end of the season, towards this time around, play 4 more games. So what we have understood is that it's between October 25th to the 26th, which is when Bach can make his return. So he would be eligible for a redshirt year, which is good, but obviously sucks for FIU. Now you lose your starting center. As we know, Jacob Peace is no longer with the program. So that is two of the offensive linemen that you started the spring with now down. And finally, Travis Burke will not be playing tonight due to injury. We do not know the extent of the injury. We don't know what the injury is, but he will not be playing tonight. So 3 offensive linemen that you started with in the spring now all gone, and 3 veteran offensive linemen on top of that. So FIU rolling with a very young and inexperienced O-line. I would put the over-under at 6 sacks for tonight's game.
Oh Jesus! Oh my gosh! But you know what? That's a respectable over/under, man. It's tough. It's bad enough that FIU has been struggling off or on the field, but now all of a sudden you have this off the field issue, which obviously is not a great look. And again, we wish John Bach the best. He's a great guy. We've talked to him before. He's super cool, but Jesus, the offensive line, all the offensive linemen that have either been injured or in Bach's case suspended, it kind of reminds me of that 2020 year when so many members of the linemen and just the team in general could not play due to unforeseen circumstances, of course, being COVID during that COVID year, and then injuries on top of that. So it's rough. The fact that they're going into an SEC stadium with an SEC crowd and they're not going to be having some of their rocks at the line against, again, an SEC defense. It's not going to be a match made in heaven. And if there was a slim chance, but a chance for FIU to be competitive in this game, it's slowly fading away as we get closer and closer to kickoff.
Alrighty, I guess we could finally go into talking about Arkansas. This is not even, despite what the record says, one of those wins is against the University of Florida, one of the best teams in the country.
That was a very class win.
Very good win. This is a team that runs the ball a lot, which is not good for FIU. It is a matchup nightmare, actually, for the Panthers. Johnny KJ Jefferson. Coach McIntyre highlighted Jefferson when I asked him what stands about Arkansas, and that's the first name that came out of his mouth. He mentioned that Jefferson is taller than some of the defensive linemen on the Panthers, and this is the guy who leads the team in rushing yards. FIU once again dealing with another dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, KJ Jefferson was one of those guys in the SEC who was coming out projected to be, a future NFL starter or NFL product. He's a guy that you said an explosive dual threat quarterback, and obviously not the season he would have liked to have, just from standpoint of maybe a 3-7 year, but individually he's having a great year. I think there's a stat where like he's going to be, I think, the single season leader. I think I don't know exactly the category. Maybe you guys would know.
Yeah, so I have it here. He's one passing touchdown away from owning the outright school record.
Yeah, so
I believe 85 or no, 64.
Congratulations to KJ Jefferson on now having a single season.
But with that, he can throw the ball. He can run. In a Florida game, he threw for, I think he ran for like 90 yards. Had a rushing touchdown. Had a couple of touchdown passes. So he's dual threat. He's very explosive. And FIU, they've had a little bit of struggles with dual threat quarterbacks. I think of Caden Salter.
A little bit, Johnny.
It's been a struggle. Think of Caden Salter, who really torched the FIU defense in that homecoming matchup. Even I think Jacksonville State was able to run the ball with was it Zion Webb?
Zion Webb,
yeah, Zion Webb as well. So they've been really running over FIU, and now it's a test where you have to face probably one of the top 5 dual threat quarterbacks in the nation in KJ Jefferson. So this is a big task at hand for the Panthers defense.
If there's anything that this team has to learn and adapt to coming to next year's season, because now at this point, we just have to learn FIU's biggest flaws and how they can redeem themselves next year. The biggest, I think, has to be how to handle the dual threat system, because I think that is the future of football. It's the future of college football. It's the future of pro footballs as well. You have players like Mahomes and Lamar doing that. Not being able to stop the dual threat system when it's probably at its most popular ever in football is it's crazy. It is crazy. By the way, something I'd like to highlight about the Arkansas Razorbacks. They're 3-7, right? But they're like the Nebraska Cornhuskers, because there have only been 2 losses that were more than a single scoring possession. Yeah. So the only 2 losses that were not a 1-score game was against Texas A&M. That was by 12. And then Auburn when they were blown out. But look at the losses here. A 6-point loss, a 7-point loss to BYU, a 3-point loss to LSU when they were ranked 12th in the country, 7-point loss to Ole Miss when they were 16th ranked in the country, a 3-point loss to Alabama when they were 11th in the country. This team has just had some tough breaks at the end of these games, because if things could have gone their way, they would certainly be bowl eligible by now, because they are a dang good football team that just has not. Again, they remind me of Nebraska last year when they lost all those games by 1 possession. It is they're a great team. I checked, and FIU and Arkansas have played before. Back in 2007, Arkansas won by a score of 58-10. I don't know if you or Johnny, you want to sort of mimic that score a little bit in your score predictions. Do they double it up? But
Johnny will, but the other way around.
Oh yeah, Johnny will the other way. I can't wait for these score predictions then. But yeah, it's crazy. It's going to be a crazy game, an absurd experience, because of course for Jenkins this is going to be the biggest stadium he's played in. I would assume, because the Arkansas does have a very massive stadium. So see how he handles that.
Raheem Sanders. So this guy was an All-SEC first team preseason selection, something like that. But definitely, he's a big guy. He is like 250-ish pounds. He's a bulldozer of a running back, and FIU's gonna have to face him. He's coming off of injury. He's, I believe, played just a couple games, a couple snaps, and he's a big time player for this team against Arkansas. Jake, how does FIU even handle someone like this? For the most part, in the second half, it does feel like FIU has managed to run the game a lot better defensively, at least stopping the run. But they got to stop this guy quick. It can't be.
Yeah.
If you want to beat Arkansas, you got to get ahead quick, and you got to stop the run game quickly, very, very quickly.
Very, very quickly. So here's the thing. I think there was at some point there was a concern that Sanders wouldn't even make this game. He was sort of dealing with an injury that he suffered in that game against Auburn, but lo and behold, he's going to play, and he's going to be a nightmare for this FIU defense. You just kind of have to send in your entire front seven and just not only do you have to rush the quarterback, but the safety has to keep an eye on where the quarterback's eyes are going. If he's really going to hand the ball off or go deep. I'm assuming Arkansas is going to be using the option play quite a bit in this game because I'm sure they've looked in the playbook and seen that some of the defense's best plays against this FIU squad have been through the option, just sending it deep or just handing the ball off or keeping it, which we saw Salter do a lot for Liberty. So truthfully, they're not going to handle Sanders. Sanders is going to get his yards. He's going to get his scores, I believe. It's just, can you let him do his business, but stop the passing attack? Can you do that? Because you didn't do that against Middle Tennessee. And now you've sort of set yourself up for a dangerous situation for if you get to a deficit early in this game, there's probably no chance you're coming back from it. That's just the kind of team this is. Granted, Arkansas has blown a few games this season. That's why they're 3-7. But those were against SEC schools, some of the best teams in the country. FIU, I love FIU, but they're not that, right? They're not that.
Aren't that guy?
You're not that guy. But no, listen. FIU offensively, defensively, and special teams, they're going to need to play their greatest games of the season. They can't turn the ball over. They have to give Jenkins enough time, which is crazy because they're going to have 3 offensive linemen out for this game. Owens or Lawrence are going to have to get like 150 rushing yards. Jenkins, again, another 200 passing. And the defense is going to need a few turnovers. And, of course, Donovan Manuel gets his record-shattering forced fumble. Then you get your perfect game, and FIU can win this. I think I just read Donnie's script for his score prediction.
I will say, there is a chance they can win this. I'm not saying there isn't. There's a very slim chance they can. If
my thing is
play decently.
My thing is this: at this point, you have 2 games to win. You need to win these games in order for bowl eligibility. It feels like for FIU, it's like they have to. It's not like a game where you're at the bowl eligible, like you already have 6 wins. You are 4-6. You have to win 2 games, and you have this huge game on the schedule in Arkansas. And look, FIU. They beat Miami a couple years ago, which they're a Power 5 school. Arkansas, obviously,
very different team, Johnny. Come on.
Arkansas.
By the way, Miami was. I think they were the same record as FIU.
No. Miami was. They were 6 and Miami was already, I think, bowl eligible. I think they were 5-4. Miami was either 5-4 or like they already. I think they already got to bowl eligibility. But this is different. But I just think for FIU, it's mentality where they have to play their best football. They got it.
They got it.
Coach Mack, we could share this now. This was mentioned in 2019 by Eric Henry, but definitely was forgotten. FIU is getting paid $1.5 million to go to Arkansas, and no offense, essentially getting their ass whooped. But hey, it's a good opportunity, and
opportunity.
Johnny could definitely mention this. That the fact is that this is good exposure not only for FIU but for FIU in general. FIU baseball not going to play Notre Dame. They still play Miami 4 times a year. They're going to Iowa,
Florida as well, right?
FIU's playing Virginia. FIU's playing Virginia in soccer on Sunday too. ACC.
Yeah. Well, they're not getting paid to play them, unlike this game against Arkansas. It is interesting. It's weird, right, for an SEC school to be playing a group of 5 team like this late in the season. Obviously, early in the season, it's understandable. Like every big time team does that. FIU does that. But I checked, and half of the SEC is doing this, where they're matching up against group of 5 teams. Like Alabama is taking on the University of Chattanooga, and Texas A&M is taking on Abilene Christian, right? Apparently, this is something that the SEC has been doing for years. They're setting up most of their schools against these. And by the way, Auburn is taking on New Mexico State. I think that's actually going to be a very interesting game. We'll talk about that in predictions. But the SEC has been doing this. They're paying these schools to play these teams around the end of the season. I think it's an effort for those schools in the SEC that don't have enough wins for a bowl game or getting there. They can get a rather easier win instead of having to play an SEC opponent, or I don't know, just to protect the image of the SEC. I don't know. The SEC are the king dogs of college football, right? They've been for the longest time. You have Georgia, who just won the championship. Then you've had LSU back in 2020 and Alabama not that long after, right? They can do whatever they want in the college football world. And they are doing whatever they want. They're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma next year, for Christ's sake. So Arkansas is but one of many teams in the SEC that's doing this, where they're taking on a group of 5 team, even a Conference USA team. So again, good for FIU. They're getting money. I hope most of that at least goes towards the facilities, towards the players, towards whatever, NIL, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But is it really going to be a good look for FIU when they get blown out, like how unfortunately I'm going to say they are? That's the question. See, Johnny, you're shaking your head. You agree?
Because Johnny's gonna say they're gonna win, bro. Come on.
We didn't get to our predictions yet.
Well, we know
Okay.
what you're gonna say.
Well, by the way, something I did want to mention about Arkansas as well. By the way, they are very good historically against non-conference FBS opponents. I believe their head coach is Sam Pittman, and Arkansas is 11-2 against non-conference teams with Pittman at the helm. And they're 3-0. They're 3-0 against FCS opponents as well. So, again, I don't like bringing up history, but we bring up history all the time when we talk about FIU struggles against Middle Tennessee. And yeah, they came back to bite us last Saturday as well. That was a very entertaining post-game show, wasn't it, Kevin? Weren't we just the happiest trees in a bunch talking about that game?
That was tough, but
oh yeah. And the one last thing I'll say about Arkansas, then we can move on. They lead all of FBS in 4 pick sixes. That's 3 return touchdowns as well as a fumble, a scoop and score. So Keywan Jenkins actually did a great job against Middle Tennessee, not throwing a pick, I believe. So right, he didn't throw a pick against Middle Tennessee, right? I don't think.
Can I give you guys a stat though that you guys would like?
Go for it.
Keywan Jenkins is 4-0 when he throws a touchdown pass this year. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there for you.
They didn't score a touchdown against Middle Tennessee. It's the only game they didn't.
I'm just saying when he throws a touchdown pass, FIU wins. He's undefeated.
So you think he's going to throw a touchdown pass against Arkansas?
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you a stat that it favors FIU.
What about when they get rushing touchdowns? What's the record then?
I'm talking about.
Okay, it's not important. It doesn't fit your narrative, right?
All righty, 4-1 coming soon. Last thing I want to say about Arkansas is that they're the worst offense in the SEC, so that should kind of help FIU a little bit. But again, 3-7, we'll see. There's a decent. I wouldn't even say decent chance. The betting line's 29.
And I will say a Razorback is a pig, and if you put a panther and a pig like IRL, and you make them fight, a panther probably beats a pig.
Alrighty, let's do Jake. It's your time to shine around FIU.
That was that the fastest we've done a theoretical preview for this game? We're getting into all this stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not much more to preview.
No, amen. I get it. Okay, so let's get into this, gentlemen. FIU men's soccer. We can be happy for a second. Actually, let's let me take my camera off. Yeah, men's soccer.
Vamos.
They got the clean sheet, the 1-0 win over Mercer on Thursday. That was the first run of the D1 men's soccer championship. Now they head to the round of 32 against, as Johnny mentioned, the Virginia Cavaliers. They're going to be on the road in Charlottesville. It's going to be on Sunday at 1 p.m. The game can be seen on ESPN Plus. Yeah. So, hey, men's soccer. That was a hell of a game. We were all there. It was an exciting atmosphere.
You weren't there.
Well,
I was there in
spirit. Don't lie, you weren't there.
I was there in spirit. I was live tweeting the game.
Yeah.
You were watching on TV.
And I made the recap on the Paws Up page, by the way. You want to go to the Paws Up page, check out our coverage of men's soccer.
There we go. Huge game Sunday afternoon.
Anyway, all right, back on track for a look on around FIU athletics. Let's get to men's basketball now. They are tomorrow. They're going to be taking on the University of Akron, the Akron Zips, in the start of the Cayman Islands Classic. The Cayman Islands Classic is a 4-team in-season tournament. That's in the Cayman Islands, in Grand Cayman to be specific. They're taking on Akron this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. So you have an FIU athletics doubleheader on Sunday. You have the soccer game against Virginia at 1 p.m. And then at night, you have the University of Akron at 7:30. If FIU wins that game, they would then play the winner of the Marshall and Utah State game on Tuesday, November 21st. So that is all TBD. Their next home game is on November 26th against Kennesaw State. Now, women's basketball. And FIU has a 1-3 record. They got their first win of the season against Houston Christian last Wednesday by a score of 83-74. Finally, women's basketball has a 2-1 record. They dropped a game to Florida Gulf Coast this past Tuesday. Spoiler alert, this episode was pre-recorded. They took on Coppin State earlier today. That was at home as tip-off at 1 p.m. Their next game is on Friday, November 24th, on Black Friday. They host the Bryant University Bulldogs at the start of their own Thanksgiving tournament. They will then take on the winner of Tennessee State versus William and Mary on Sunday, November 26th. So that's your look at women's basketball. They have a current 2-1 record. And that was your look at the world of FIU athletics. So let's get into some Conference USA predictions. Are you ready to? By the way, can we all agree this is our favorite parts of these preview episodes, the Conference USA predictions?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yes. I don't
know. Now it's as there's 2 games left. There's one more conference game. We kind of already know who's at the top of the conference. I mean,
yeah, it's confirmed. Liberty against New Mexico.
I mean, did you guys hear about I think it was James Madison, Jacksonville State. They went to Tarleton State. Yeah, because they wanted to get to be able to compete in some postseason play and conference.
And they were denied.
They denied, the waiver.
It's crazy. The only way they can get in, I think, is if there's not enough 6-win teams. But that's never happened, or hasn't happened in a very long time. I think it actually happened in the COVID year.
I think the Gamecocks and Dukes are in an interesting spot where they have just been able to create these football programs and seamlessly transition into beyond what everyone expects of them. I mean, they're.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
It's crazy,
especially for those guys that are close to graduating or no longer playing. You want to finish off your season by winning.
Yeah. It sucks.
You want to go to bowl games. You want to go to tournaments, and for a team like James Madison, who I believe they're top 25 ranked, they can't do that.
They can't do anything. They literally are just playing 12 games, and
you're playing at this point for the fun of it, and you don't want that. You want to play.
Yeah. It's still you're playing for a purpose. Players in James Madison and Jacksonville State, they're good enough to be selected by NFL teams, right? They have some NFL talent on that team that they want to impress the scouts. That's why they're still playing to their maximum ability. But I will say, I can't imagine being a player for Jacksonville State or James Madison having to see some random 6-win team like Miami that is going to get into a bowl game that you could probably take on and beat. So it is what it is. But regardless, let's take a look at how we did last week. So Liberty beat Old Dominion by a score 30-10. No surprise there. Sam Houston State got their first conference win. They beat Louisiana Tech 42-27. Good job to Sam Houston State. They got their first FBS win against a conference opponent nonetheless. So New Mexico State beat Western Kentucky 38-29. And then, of course, Middle Tennessee beat FIU 40-6. So, Johnny, I don't think you gave us your picks last week, which is fine. I went 2 for 2. Kevin went 3 for 1. I took Louisiana Tech over Sam Houston, and both of us took FIU over Middle. So, yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. This week's Conference USA slate is, I think, a great one, and it's going to have some interesting matchups. So let's start off Let's just kick things off with UMass taking on Liberty at 1 p.m. UMass is an independent school. Keep in mind they actually had a great start, but I think they're 3 for 7. I think this is a no-brainer. Give me Liberty. They continue to roll.
Yep, the Flames.
Give me the Flames.
Okay, so clean sweep there. Now, Louisiana Tech. This could be a good game. Louisiana Tech taking on Jacksonville State. That is at 2 p.m. again. So these few games are already in progress. We don't know the score at this time because again, this was recorded the day of. I'm taking Jacksonville State though. I don't know. Louisiana Tech, they could have a good bounce back game, but I don't know. Louisiana Tech just too much talent. Give me the Gamecocks.
Yeah, Jack State. La Tech. I feel like every time they play, they always in it for some. Like they're always finding a way to keep themselves in a ball game. But I'll get the Gamecocks for this one.
I would agree, but they lost by I think 2 score possessions to Sam Houston the other day at home.
They're always clawing back a little bit. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
That was a loss at home too. Now they got to go to Jacksonville State. I think you definitely got to go with the Gamecocks here. All right, moving on. You have UTEP against Middle Tennessee. UTEP has had some highs this season. They've also had some low lows. I think Middle Tennessee, as we saw, when they're hot, and they're a damn good team. I'll take Middle Tennessee.
I'll take the Blue Raiders.
Wait. Yeah, give me the Blue Raiders.
You could have just asked. They're taking on UTEP, Kevin. All right. This could be another upset game. Sam Houston taking on Western Kentucky.
You're calling that a trap game?
This is an upset special on our hands. I'm going to pick last.
Stay
Kevin,
safe.
who you got?
Sam Houston.
I'll take the Hilltoppers. I'm going to stay a little safe.
I'm going to stay safe as well because I don't want to have a losing record in these.
I'm already going to give you a nice pick at the end. So
yeah,
I'll stay safe on this one.
I'm going to take Western Kentucky. But you know what, Kevin? I respect the Sam Houston pick though, and I'm kind of secretly rooting for Sam Houston, but I do think Western gets it done. All right, New Mexico State is this is the other sort. I don't want to say late game, but afternoon game. They're taking on Auburn, sort of in the same way that FIU is taking on.
We know who we're taking here. Auburn.
Yeah, we're taking Auburn, but I'm actually going to say it's going to be close. I'm going to say maybe a 10-point win for Auburn. Whatever. Take the points, right?
I don't disagree with you, Jake. I kind of see what you're saying. Like I think it'll be a little closer of a matchup.
As Lee Corso says, closer than the experts think, but give me Auburn.
But I do think that for Raldo Fairweather, I'm going to watch for him. I mean, he's been fun to watch. I know he's kind of heating up a little bit for Auburn, but I'll go with I'll take the Tigers.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So we have the game of the day coming up, gentlemen. Do we want to do rapid fire NFL, or do we just want to get to the FIU?
Let's just go to FIU.
Just go to FIU. All right then.
Wait a minute. Before we do this, Johnny, just tell us the score prediction.
No,
No. Okay, no. We'll do our picks. We'll let Johnny. You know what? We'll give. Yeah, we'll do that.
I get the floor right now.
Who's winning this game and what score?
Okay,
wait a minute. Don't say.
Wait.
I need to.
Okay. Here we go.
I need to do something real quick before you.
Okay, let me do something real quick too.
Lights out! Lights out!
All right, go ahead.
Ready? Okay, good. Okay, FIU must win 4 and 6. They need.
Lights out!
My bad. I totally didn't.
It's gonna be a light, Johnny. It's gonna be a lights out prediction.
Lights out! Lights out!
Can I get to the prediction? Let's get to the prediction first, then we can do the lights out thing. Okay, 4 and 6. FIU needs 2 wins. I need 2 wins. This is right now. This is the biggest game for them. The next 2 games are the biggest games. Each game is gonna be big, but this one in particular, you're taking an Arkansas team 3 and 7. I know they beat Florida, but not a great offense. The SEC, they're a little bit of turmoil. I think
my God, get to the point.
All I'm gonna say is like FIU, they know they must win, coming off a really not a great
Oh
performance.
man, just tell us what the score is.
The Panthers are going to upset in Fayetteville, win in SEC territory. I say FIU is going to win this matchup 28-21 over the Razorbacks.
Lights out! Lights out!
I'm gonna take the Arkansas Razorbacks to win this one pretty comfortably. Honestly, I'll say 45-13.
Okay, that was a. I'm still reeling over that Johnny segment was elite. That was some high quality content, but I kind of agree with pretty much what Kevin said. My score, I'm going to go. I'll go Arkansas 42, FIU 17. All right, I'll say that FIU gets a couple of touchdowns. I'm going to say that. I'll give Jenkins one passing and I'll give one rushing to Lawrence. So, and then Chase Gabriel hits a schnasty field goal. Here's the question: Does Donovan Manuel get his forced fumble?
Yes. Johnny's gonna say yes. What about you, Jake?
I'm gonna say yes too. I want to see it happen.
Oh, attaboy, guys.
Yeah. So a bit of positivity here. Johnny, never changed my guy, but I will say that is crazy. That is wild. That is outlandish. What's the
I'll
line
give
for
him
this
this.
game,
I don't think I think FIU is going to keep it closer than we think.
That's I'm trying to say is they know that they have to win. They have to put up a fight.
I spoke to one of the players and he's like, "This week is going to be wild."
Kevin, what's the line for this game? Do you remember?
29.5.
29.5. So what was mine? It was 40. What did I say? 42-17. That would mean that they don't. They don't cover. Right? Unless my math is stupid. I was never a mathematician, but
Alrighty, boys. Let's wrap this thing up. FIU on ESPNU.
Support the soccer team. I'm sorry. I mean, they are taking on Virginia, man. That's crazy.
FIU on ESPNU, 7:30.
Night game, a nationally televised night game, though. That is super sick. Like thinking about it, that is really cool.
Yep. So, alrighty. Jake, Johnny, myself.
Catch you at halftime and then post game.
Catch you at halftime, post game, and we are out. Paws up. Paws up.
Awesome.